All right. Well, that was awesome. I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty excited about that. A little acapella going here on International Social Media Day. But we are jacked up because you heard us talk about with Sophie Gill from Buffer. You talked about Indra there about sharing a little about yourself. Well, in today's world, I think we've all got to take things to a different level. You've got to really kind of refocus on what you're doing to get the word out. And our next speaker here is the man of men when it comes to doing virtual events, to really helping you take your message to a whole different level these days. And I'm talking about the man, the myth, my buddy, the scotch drinker, Cajun food eating, chicory coffee swigging, my buddy Mark Wade joining us here, everybody. How's it going, man?
What's up, Scott? Appreciate that. You know, we got to get back down to some New Orleans and have some pralines and some more fun. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to have you here. For you guys that don't know, Mark Wade is the founder of the Virtual Summit software, who is helping so many entrepreneurs get their message out. In today's world where so many events have been canceled, I think you're one of the biggest linchpins in really helping people say, listen, don't freak out just because you can't meet in person unless you're having a protest. Why don't you talk a little about that? Talk about kind of what you're doing and the impact you're having, Mark, because you're just absolutely doing so many amazing good things.
Absolutely. So what's up, everyone? Dr. Mark T. Wade. As it says, I have 2 doctorates. I'm a postural neurologist by trade. And all that means is I'm the biggest nerd that's going to be on this live stream today. So I take that award. So obviously this recent months current situation has made a pretty big pivot, I would say, or what I like to say is a shift. And let me actually just start off with that real quick, Scott, because I hear a lot of people talking about pivoting right now, and I understand the concept behind it, and it makes sense. A lot of people are pivoting their live events to a virtual event. A lot of people are pivoting their actual businesses to something else. But I don't think we should pivot. Actually, I think pivot's the wrong word. I think the mindset behind it's correct, but pivot means to turn away from what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you should turn away from what you're doing because you've spent years building expertise, knowledge, and success in that thing. So what I prefer to actually focus on is positioning. So you may have to position yourself in a new way or in a new light or in a new area, but don't give up on all the expertise, all the success, all the talents and skills that got you there. So I just want to mention that because I'm hearing it a lot, but I understand the concept behind it, but I want you to understand, like, you've already got what you need. Now it's just, how do we position into a better way? Now, when it comes to events, we've been running virtual summits and virtual events for well over 6 years now. I went from a brick and mortar practice to an online business, American Posture Institute, which we grew into a multi-million-dollar company through virtual summits. It's still today the world's largest provider of postgraduate online posture education, run now by the beautiful Dr. Krista Burns, my partner in life and in business. But from there, we run summits all the time in that company and all of my companies. We run 2 to 4 multi-day summits. We run 4 to 8 one-day summits. We run summit series, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that's relevant to this moment, and we'll jump back into the summits, but I understand the pain, right? Like, I understand. I run an in-person event too. I run Summit Fest Live down in New Orleans, NOLA. Let the good times roll. Scott's going to be speaking next year. We were lucky to squeeze that one in right before the whole pandemic happened. But I also run an in-person mastermind called Puerto Rico Masterminds. And that one wasn't so lucky. Essentially 7 days before we were supposed to host 40 people down in Puerto Rico, we had to cancel. And we had to, if you will, pivot is what everybody's saying. But we decided, we're not just going to throw this away. We're not going to end this. We're not just going to say, oh, here's your money back. Don't worry, we can't do it. And we'll see you next year. We decided to go ahead, and within 7 days, we transformed it into a virtual mastermind. The feedback, all but one person said it was just as good or better virtually as it was in person. Now, I'm partial to that event being in person. It'll eventually be back in person. But my point is It's not over.
It's in Puerto Rico at the most beautiful hotel. I would say the Caribe Hilton, one of my favorites down there as well. So sorry,
So it's hard to, it's hard to kind of compare. But with that being said, for all of everybody listening right now, if you do have any kind of in-person events, whether it's a workshop, a mastermind, a conference, a 1 day or 2 day, or doesn't matter. In this moment, you can still position that event virtually. Now, after that, you get to decide, do you want to keep it that way or do you want to bring it back in person? A lot of people, what we're seeing is, I would say over 80% of the in-person event hosts are going, there will be some portion of virtual for us in the future moving forward forever. And there's two big reasons for that. One, overhead just dropped dramatically. I mean, they went from having hundreds of thousands of dollars in venue expense, food expense, coffee expense, etc., to essentially, maybe $10,000, $20,000 in overhead. So it's like all of a sudden they just became extremely more profitable. And there's ways to really provide amazing value virtually. So we're seeing that. So I think that's going to happen. Most of the in-person event hosts are saying we're going to at least some portion, because nobody wants to put themselves in the same situation again next year or later or whatever. So with that being said, I actually think this is a great opportunity for everybody to just step in and own your space in virtual. We also run, in all of my companies, we run a virtual workshop. Like I have the Summit Genesis workshop, which, it's a 3-day virtual intensive. It's, it's me there with a group of people taking them from none to done. But with that being said, it's not like, here's the other factor people are thinking, well, it must be low price then if you're going to do it virtually, because it can't, people aren't going to pay the same for a virtual event as they will for an in-person. No, it's a $2,500 ticket to that event, and we fill it out every single month. So I just wanted to break a couple maybe false beliefs that are going on there before we dive into some of the tactics, because I know, Scott, like I watch you crush it in every area, in every way. Like you're an outside the box thinker, and I think that's so important right now in this moment.
Well, thanks, Mark. And I agree to that. I mean, we've been doing virtual stuff for a while because we did have a big failure before all this happened, a big check leader write, and we're like, we're not doing that again. Let's do something smart. But that's the thing, is in today's world with technology, don't be wrong, we love the in-person. Who doesn't like high-fiving, clinking some scotch glasses together, having some good gumbo, some flavor, or whatever, pina colada or whatever, or the ghost tour downtown, you know what I mean? Things like that. But the thing is in today's world where everybody can't travel or they don't have the huge budgets anymore, companies aren't forking out those expense accounts, the virtual summit place is really where it's at. And let's talk about some of the things that can help you out, whether it's the Facebook pages, the Facebook groups that help you with these things. You can live stream to a lot of these things. You guys have incorporated a lot of that stuff too in your software too, right?
Correct. So with that, I mean, a virtual event, and from this point forward, we'll focus primarily with virtual summits if I say virtual event, just because that's my wheelhouse. I can do the other ones. We do the other ones. Yep. I've consulted with Comic-Con, Spartan Races, Giovanni over at Archangel, you name it. Like I've consulted with them to help them take their events virtual, but my specialty is virtual summits, just to clarify that. And when it comes to a virtual summit has to have social. It's got to have social media on a variety of different aspects. And there's all kinds of considerations to make. Not that you should do all of them, but we'll definitely talk through some of the top strategies. But I just want to clarify, Scott, because I can hear some of the listeners going like, well, Mark, wait, what is a virtual summit then? If is it a conference? Is it a workshop? So is it a webinar? I get that question all the time. So just quickly, a virtual summit, for those who do not know, it is historically a pre-recorded set of interviews or sessions that solve a problem or series of problems by industry or niche experts over a set period of time. So it seems like a conference. The difference is it's not live streaming. Typically, it's 80% or more pre-recorded, with about 10 to 20% of nowadays live inserted into it. And I make that distinguish because right now a lot of my friends in this space has grown a lot overnight, as they do, are all talking virtual events. Unfortunately, I don't think a majority of people are going to go run a live stream conference unless you have the team, the knowledge, the experience, because even though it is virtual, I mean, there is a lot that goes into it to make it successful. But with a virtual summit, anybody could essentially run that. Okay. Because again, it's pre-recorded. Most of it, it's in advance. You have time, you have technologies like virtual summit software that make it so essentially anybody without tech skill or developer knowledge can do it. Now, with that being said, it's typically free to attend. So it means you get access to it free, which is another big distinguisher. Usually live stream conferences, there's a registration fee on it. So it's free to attend. And then once it closes down, if you want to maintain access to it, you can purchase an all access pass, or what we call a summit offer. Okay. And then just to distinguish, there's a couple different types of virtual summits. So the most common, the one we see very regularly, is a multi-day summit. So that's anywhere from about 3 days upwards of about 7 days, with anywhere from around 20 speakers upwards of 80 speakers, with 30, 35 being kind of the sweet spot. Then we have the 1 day summit, which is my fave. We'll probably talk about that a little bit more later, which is just like it says, it's 1 day. But it doesn't mean it's a full day in content. It just means you have 1 day, your audience has 1 day to consume it, which is really powerful right now. Most of us in social media understand this as well, is attention span is dropping. So we have to do things. We'll talk about that, what you can do on social media to help with the attention span. But one of the things is provide them a problem-focused solution that they can get in a very short amount of time. So get this in a day. Boom. It has anywhere from 5 to 15 speakers, with 8 to 10 being kind of the sweet spot. So, and it is very much more problem focused. So those are summits, and there's other kinds, but you know, that's the overview of summit. Now, jumping into social, like where does social come in? There's a lot of aspects of social media that come into it. Now, I will say primarily there's 3, maybe 4 main ways of, you know, succeeding with your virtual summit, which the ultimate goal for most people on a virtual summit is to build an audience or a tribe, right? It's one of the most powerful ways to get people into your community, because it's a collaborative marketing strategy, which is another thing we should talk about with social as well. You should be doing collaborative marketing strategies, or leveraging the expertise, the knowledge, the audience, etc., of other experts all together, so everybody benefits. So we have that. The number one way, though, and which is the number one way of filling it, is through the speakers helping promote. Then we have social, and then under that is paid ads through social. And again, there's some other little factors, but those are the top 3 right there. Now, I want to jump into this, but let's go in a specific manner, Scott. So which area would you like me to talk about first with the social? Like, I mean, we have the groups, we have the ads, we have the other aspects. So what's on your mind?
Let's talk about your favorite thing. It's dealer's choice, baby. Dealer's choice. Exactly. There you go. Your choice.
Absolutely.
What you love the most, and go from there.
So, well, one of the things, it's not necessarily my favorite thing, but I think it's probably one of the most important things, just because I see a lot of people not doing it well, is, again, if the purpose of a virtual summit is to create a tribe, which means you have people coming into it to get value, you're solving problems. So it creates know, like, and trust. It's really great with that. Well, if that's the goal, you have to get people to want to come in. So we've already talked about email being the primary, but if we're looking at social, most people assume, well, oh, if my speakers just share it on their Facebook page or their Instagram or things like that, then people will just opt in. And honestly, no. Social is very, very powerful for a summit in the sense of it creates awareness and energy, kind of like buzz around it. So that's really good because it helps you with influence and authority. So I would say social's primary benefit for a summit is generating influence and authority. Well, that's pretty powerful for somebody who's just getting started. I've seen, Chandler Bolt's a perfect example. The way he's now got over an 8-figure company started by hosting 3 virtual summits. He went from nobody knew him to now he's a name brand kind of person with the self-publishing school. Anyways, social is that thing. People see you, and they, like, whether they join your summit, opt in for your summit or whatever, they see you with Scott Carson, Kurt Malley. I see some other great names over here. They see you with these people and they go, wow, you must be influential or have some authority because you're on the platform with these people. It's called expert leverage. Now, the thing is, it's not great to get them to actually click in and opt in. Okay. So for every 2 in email, it's essentially 2 touches is what typically converts a convertible person into an attendee. With social, it's 6. So it's a lot more touches. So with that being said, there's a couple things to think about with that. One, what are you putting out there on social? That's probably part of the problem. Okay. Nobody really wants to see that. Oh, look, Mark's got 35 people with him and they're this massive event. They're seeing that everywhere. Everybody's going, oh, this summit, this live event, this thing. And people are like, I don't care about the thing. I care about the problem I have that I need solved. So that's the first thing. And this goes across all marketing, but the point is people aren't really doing it. It's just because you have an event or you have something on social doesn't mean people are going to sign up for it. So always make sure your messaging is problem specific. We've become ninjas at deflecting information these days. So we may go, yeah, exactly. We're like, oh, that's cool, but no, that's cool, but no, that's cool, but no. Boom. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's what they want. They're like, I have this problem. I'm looking for the solution. So with that being said, it may not be like 4 years ago where we could put something out and you got 20,000 people on a summit. But here's the thing. Here's another. I'm going to keep throwing these little ninja gems out for you, Scott. You can grab them, take them, throw them back, whatever. But it's also not about the size of the audience. I mean, we've heard for so long, like the money's in the list and that you need a big list and you need 10,000, 100,000. It's not true. My first $136,000 launch came from a list of 900 people. So the point is, and yes, money is in the list. However, it's only in a qualified and engaged list. If your list is not qualified and engaged, it doesn't matter. And that goes back to what you're putting on social and on your marketing. Problem specific. You want to attract the people that have the problem that you can and are trying to solve. So that's the first thing is don't just put out these things. And again, I'm going to stay in my wheelhouse with summits, but this could apply to other things, webinars, these challenges, things that are going on. But like, don't just put something out and be like, oh, I've got a 7-day challenge. People will sign up because it's a challenge. No, they won't. What does the challenge solve? What is the problem that the audience has that you're going to solve with the challenge? That's what you want to focus around. Same thing with your summit. The other thing is, well, I've gave my speakers really great things. Again, an image with me or them and 100 other people on it. Like nobody cares about that. People are glossing over that. And I would actually even say right now, because of the transition from in-person events to virtual, it's been crazy, Scott. I've never had to clarify live until the last 2 months, right? Like live always meant live streaming. Now it means like, wait, is this a live in-person event? Is this a live streaming conference? Is this what is it? So we also have to be more clear with what we're doing. In the summit space, you put out like, virtual neurology summit, for example, which is a summit in my other company we've run for 3 years. Well, this is the first year people are going, wait, is that in person or is that a conference or is that like, so you can't just put that out anymore. So 1, focus on the problem. 2, don't just put an image out with a bunch of, things on it. Focus on the problem. And so this is the thing. This is the like super, super ninja. I'm just going to make sure I don't forget the second part of this is what you give your speakers matters. Okay. Look, no speaker wants to share you on their social. Let's just call it how it is. Okay. They don't want to share you. They want to share them to their audience. So how can you ensure that your speakers or whatever you're promoting, the people who are promoting are going to promote it? 1, make it about them. 2, make it ninja, make it amazing. Okay. So we do that in a variety of ways. Like when we do our interviews and this, again, I see this with podcasts too. I've been making this mistake. We're upping our podcast game. Because again, a lot of things have changed in the last 3 to 6 months is you can't just be like, oh, here's some social links. Here's a picture of you. And oh, it's like you're a guest on my podcast today. No, that won't. 1, it doesn't get a lot of clicks on social. It doesn't get shares on social. What does is if you take something that creates curiosity or intrigue, put that thing on whatever it is they're sharing. You can put an image of them on it if you want, or you can put something relevant to them. That is what they will share. Things that they're talking about that they've said or that make them look like the expert. That's what they want to share. Now we take it to a little bit higher level. And during our interviews, we actually will, 1, at the end, get a couple sound bites, but 2, anytime somebody says something like, wow, that was great, we timestamp it, we write it down, and then our post-production team pulls that. And we create an entire video clip of that speaker with them saying this thing. That's awesome. they're going to share that every single day, every single time across all of their platforms. So that's something when it comes to social, just because social's busy now. Like there's a lot being on there. So how do you cut through the noise? And I will also say, you don't necessarily want to hit everybody on social. You want to hit the right person, qualified and engaged. Remember that, qualified and engaged. So the best way to do that is getting something that cuts through the noise. Okay. So I'm like just fire hosing at you, Scott. I'll let you have a second here to say something as well. But that's my top thing that I would say right now that's irking me, not in a negative way, but because I'm like, man, I know what you have is so valuable, but people are missing it because, because they didn't see through it. They didn't get the actual message.
Well, I think you hit two big points there. And I mean, you took a sledgehammer to a nail, which is what I love about you. You brought the noise, as always. Brought the thunder there, Thor. But you said two big things, two big takeaways from there is it's not about you, it's about them. So stroking your guest's ego, stroking your speaker's egos by creating custom infographics or custom little videos or little sound bites that will answer the problem your targeted client or prospect needs solved. That's the big thing. There are too many general pivot summits, too many general feel good, wake up and just smile, wake up and shit rainbows. Be specific on what you're doing, because as you said before, you don't need to have, everyone is not your ideal client on Facebook or on social media. Not everybody is your ideal attendee to a virtual summit. So make it, we've talked about, yes, the value's in your list, but the riches are in the niches. And the more you can niche down, I think the more value you're going to add, not only to that audience, but the more influence you're going to actually have because it is niche. And then you own that area, right?
This is why I love hanging out with you, Scott. Like you just speak it. Like we are so aligned with that. Like it's so true. And I want to circle back just quickly again about don't get caught up, especially, we got different levels of people that are watching here. Some of you are already crushing it. You're like, Mark, give me that like super little ninja advanced trick that'll give me an extra 2 to 10%. Some of you are like, I'm getting started. I got some people, but like, I'm still trying to grow. And then there's others that are like, I just got my idea. Like, what do I do now? Like, I would say for sure, those of you who are just getting started, those of you in the middle right here, don't get caught up in this list envy where you feel like you have to have 50,000 people on your Instagram. You have to have 100,000 people on your social. I'll be very honest. My social media is not huge, but I have 3 companies that do over 7 figures, and I don't have a single list that's over 15,000. Okay. So 3 7-figure companies with each of them with lists of other 50,000. Now, granted, we clean them, we pull the, we hygiene them every quarter. But my point is, I want you to focus more on having a message that matters and makes an impact, and say that message over and over and over. Second thing I would say is UEP, unique expert position. That was the biggest thing that helped me achieve success back in the beginning. Don't do everything. Don't try and be everything. Be one thing and be the best at it. UEP, unique expert position, and then build an audience. It's important to have a tribe. You have to have a community, but it doesn't have to be huge. It has to be qualified and engaged. They have to be people that are there because of what you can help them with, and they have to be engaged with you. And like just a little extra sauce on that right there, because I did come from a professional background of, with it being a doctor and all, is people would much rather see your personality than see this perfect little image of you of what you think you're supposed to look like. When I left, when I got out of the other company, the American Posture Institute, and went full in summits, I let my freak flag fly, Scott. I just let me be me. I am funny. I am nerdy. I am transparent. I make mistakes. I say things. But the thing is, people much rather see raw and connect. Now, I'm not saying you have to be exactly like that. I'm just saying they want to see you and your personality. Let that come through on your social. Let that come through on your Instagram. Let that come through everywhere. And you will have this raving fan group. Maybe it's 100, maybe it's 1,000, maybe it's 10,000, but whoever they are going to love you, and your business is going to be successful because of that.
I love that. And that's been very relevant here in the last 90 days. If anybody follows you online, you shared some very heartfelt scare feelings of everything going on down in Puerto Rico, and you kind of feeling trapped and contained in martial law and other things going on. And then you also felt it when too that little team in Kansas City won the Super Bowl, a little while ago there too. Yeah, big Kansas City Chiefs fan. Surprised you're not wearing a hat this morning from that. There we go. There it is. There it is. Exactly. But that's a lot of people are scared about sharing stuff personal, that inside, because of trolls or other things out there. You've got to share that inside, that who you really are as a person, because nobody wants to deal with Mr. or Mrs. Roboto, right?
I'm gonna say something right here, because I would have gone insane if I didn't implement this early on in my first business, and then I've implemented it in every business since then. Is as soon as you can get a customer service person, a VA or whatever, do it. The loudest people are usually the people who are least satisfied, and they're usually not dissatisfied with you. They're dissatisfied with them, and it comes out through your stuff. And I know that sounds like a way to brush it off. You have to have great customer service. You got to provide amazing value, but it is the truth. And honestly, like the trolls, you can't focus on those. You can't focus on the people who are upset all the time, or, and this is relevant for social. This is relevant for summits, because usually, like when I'm working with a summit host, they'll be like, Mark, 3 people sent me an email and they said that the summit's not working. It will help. And you're like, they're in complete meltdown. I'm like, whoa, how many people are signed up for your summit? And they're like 2,000. I said, if your summit wasn't working, you'd have 2,000 emails, not 3 emails. Okay. So I'm just, and I'm making light of it. But the point is, this is why it comes back to the passion and what's inside your message. This is the most important thing, is you can't forget the reason you're doing it. And I'm first to raise my hand. I made this mistake and I fell down the totem pole and had to come back up. If you're just doing it, and it's okay to want money, it's okay to want authority or influence. It's okay to want those things. But if that's the only reason you're doing it, you're going to be sadly let down once you achieve it, if you do achieve it. So for me, I'm ex-military and I served overseas in Iraq. And what became very relevant to me is, after a ambush, I quickly realized that, if I hadn't survived that ambush, if I died that day, that I hadn't actually left anything in the world. Nobody knew me. There was no message. I hadn't made a difference. And so I vowed to myself at that point, if I survived my tour in combat, I'd spend the rest of my life building and leaving a legacy. And I've done that. Now I get the opportunity to help others leave their legacy. And I just want to say, like, you have to focus on the thing that excites you and the help and impact you're making, not the dollars. The dollars are cool, but what's the impact? Because if you're focused on that, those trolls don't matter one bit.
That's the truth. You've got to, you're not going to make everybody happy. And if you try to make everybody happy through your marketing, you're never going to find happiness. So you've got to realize that you're not serving everybody. You're serving a third of the audience out there that you're surrounded by. They're going to love you no matter what you do, because they love you. They're your biggest cheerleaders. There's that a third of people, that other group of people that aren't going to love you no matter what you do, because of your race, your color, your sex, what you say, how you look, whatever. They just have a dark hole for a soul. So you have to focus on that group that loves you, and that part in the middle that don't know you from Adam. Serve those, treat those people well, connect with them, have your unique expert position, as you talk about, and really surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are going to sit there and support you and wave your flag and keep cheering you on as you keep rocking and rolling and serving that audience. Right, Mark?
Absolutely. Focus on the ones who will cheer you on when you're letting your freak flag fly free, Scott. Let that freak flag fly free.
Now, Mark, what's the best way for people to find out more about your virtual summit software and connect with you, buddy?
Absolutely. Best place to hang out is over on Facebook in our group Viral Summits. We do live trainings there weekly, lots of free resources, content, a lot of other amazing summit hosts and speakers. So it's a great way to both learn and create successful summits. Our actual website is virtualsummits.com. That's where you can check out the software, Virtual Summit software, as well as we got a lot of free resources there, our podcast, etc. But if you do join the group or hit me up on Instagram, make sure you DM me, say you saw me over here with Social Media Day with Scott, and I'd love to connect with you.
Yeah, man, you're doing a great job over there. I'm excited because I think no matter what size your audience is, virtual summit is a great way to get the word out on exactly what you're doing. And if you're wanting to level up, hey, bring people on that are above you, reach out to them, cater to them. And before too long, the audience out there will view on the same level as them and help you grow your influence and impact by leveraging time and resources and others' audiences as well. Right, Mark?
Absolutely. That's it. And just remember, you have a message that matters. Don't let yourself talk you out of it. Don't let anybody else talk you out of it. There are people out there that are waiting for you and the impact you're going to create. You've got to be ferocious in getting that message out. Don't let anybody hold you back. Scott, I love you, brother. It's always amazing hanging out with you. This is a blast. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, Mark, thanks for being here. Can't wait to hang out with you in person at some point, right?
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
Later.